This afternoon, I'm interviewing, and this is very exciting for me to be the other side of the microphone, interviewing the very talented and wonderful Sue Lawson, who is also a treasured friend of mine. But before we start talking about Sue and all her wonderful books, I'll just ask you, Sue, first, if you can tell us a little bit about this brand new and wonderful project you have called Portable Magic.
Oh, thank you. I think I quite like asking the questions better, see. The idea came, my most recent book with Aunty Fay, came out just after COVID hit and we all went into isolation. And it was the first time in ages I've gone, okay, I'm going to do a launch. And yep, then I couldn't. So I watched how other people were dealing and what things they were doing. And then the bookshops were struggling to get attention. And I thought, what can I do to highlight writers? What skills have I got that I can use? And I thought, oh, for God's sake, I spent nearly 20 years in radio. I love interviewing. And I decided I would do, it's not really a podcast because it's a video, but I would Zoom people and talk to them about their work and about their latest books so that we could get the word out there. And it made it easier for people to talk about rather than going, I. If someone's interviewing you, it's so much easier to talk about.
And look, and absolutely, and I also think the other advantage is, I think, look, some people are very confident with all sorts of radio, TV, and I believe it's the amount of practice you get. You know, I know if I have one interview, you get comfortable, and then if you don't do one for a while, you then get very nervous. So this is a great idea to have it pre-recorded, so that, you know, if there are any little hiccups, they can be fixed later on. But look, and I think how wonderful for you to draw on your other careers, and look, I know I've just done the interview with you and I felt completely comfortable, so it's a great idea and something that has come out of what we're all going through at the moment. So all right, so look, just a little bit of background. I have quite a little collection of your books here, Sue. So firstly, Freedom Ride. Now I happen to know that I suppose your beginnings of writing alongside the Indigenous books and people, this was the beginning for you. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
I would love to. I actually was writing this book, which is Protest in Australia. And I was one of those kids, one of those people, I believe passionately about civil rights and equality and treating people as people, no matter, you know, everyone's the same. What is this about? And so I was adamant about South Africa. I wanted to go over there and change the world with the apartheid system. I hated America's system of segregation. I had no idea what had happened here and what continues to happen here. So I came across a photo when I was researching of Charles Perkins, and he was sitting in a pool with Aboriginal children, and underneath it had something like frolicking, Charles Perkins frolicking with Aboriginal children after the pool was desegregated. And I just went, what? What do you mean the pool was segregated? And it completely and utterly floored me. And so from there, it was down a rabbit burrow in the best possible sense, finding out as much as I could about what had happened. And it just blew my mind. I wrote Freedom Ride based on Charles Perkins' Freedom Ride. And I remember saying to Marianne Ballantyne, who published the book, I said to her, I want to do more. But of course, I'm not First Nations. And the beautiful thing was I met Aunty Fay Muir, and the two of us work together and we're dear friends now. And the gift that has given me has been magic.
Yes, yes. And this is Nunga that came out of that. So how difficult was it for you, being an established author, how difficult was it for you then to work with somebody else, and how closely did you work on the writing with that?
I actually love collaborating. I'm surprised how much I love it. In fact, to the point Everything I've written lately has been a collaboration. I haven't done much solo work at all. For Faye and I, what we tend to do is she comes here to my place. We sit at the kitchen table, we talk and gossip and eat lunch, and we also work. And a lot of it is, particularly initially, was conversations and me respectfully asking questions of Faye. And she was so patient because my questions, I know now, were so basic. And it's what most Australians don't know. That I was going, well, what's this and what's that? And we came up with the idea of Nunga as a book to get into classrooms to all children, that if they had the knowledge, with knowledge comes understanding, and with understanding comes respect, and through that will come change, hopefully. As I say to the kids in the classroom, you know, when I'm at schools, which I'm obviously not at the moment, I hope to give them the power to change what we have been unable to change.
And I think, you know, all of this was on our doorstep. And as you say, the Charles Perkins photo, the shock is, you know, it was within our lifetimes. And it's like, hang on a minute, you know, how can that be? How can that be happening? So, you know, with Nunga, it has, you know, basic words like discrimination, you know, assimilation. So not, you know, a page, 2 pages, half a page, something, and even a description of auntie.
Yeah, and what is an elder? And things like, we would hear the expression country all the time and think, you know, like I grew up in the country. I grew up in regional Victoria. So you'd sort of think, oh, yeah, it's the country. And to get the understanding of that. And that's where Faye's generosity, and I love working with her when we're working with kids, because I'll ask the questions and she'll give the answers, and that then prompts the kids to ask. And yeah, her generosity and her warmth and humour, she's very, very funny.
Well, that's lovely, and that must make it a really enjoyable partnership, because that's what it is as well. So, look, you and Faye have presented at a number of literary events, including the CBCA conference, the Word for Word Festival launch, and during the festival and at the Bendigo Writers Festival. What sort of things do you talk about in those arenas?
They have been the most fantastic opportunities, because we've done adult groups and we've done children's groups, you know, and young adult groups. And basically we sit up there and I start with 1 or 2 things. So I'll say, you know, I'll introduce Aunty Fay. We'll talk about the fact there's over 500 Aboriginal nations. And so and then, you know, how many different language groups there are, over 500 language groups. And then that each one has its own peculiarities to their culture. And so we talk about that and explain that there's no overriding meaning, but there are some things that are the same. So the understanding of country, for example. So we'll start with country and I'll say, okay, Aunty Fay, what is country? And what is an elder? I'm calling you Aunty Fay. What does that mean? And can anybody call you Aunty Fay? And then it's like we've opened the gates and the kids just pour in questions. And it was really beautiful at Word for Word, which is Geelong. We had a group of First Nation kids who were from Broome in the session. And so it was great. Faye would look at them and go, so what's your word for that? Or what's this? And it was just beautiful watching these kids, just the shoulders went back and the pride. So yeah, it's such a privilege. It really is.
Yeah, and I think, look, you know, as going back to your original beginning with all of this, and by the way, how long have you been working with Aunty Fay now, Sue, would you say?
2016, so 4 years.
4 years,
It feels
okay.
longer. It feels like I've known her forever, in a good way. It feels like we've been friends forever. But yeah, 4 years, maybe 5 years it'd be.
Okay. Well, you know, and to be working fairly closely on a number of books, because you've got, you know, certainly some upcoming books on the way, quite a few. So okay, look, on that, the book Respect, which I don't have, but I think you have a copy there.
I just happen to have one here. Actually, it was over my shoulder, but I thought I'd better bring it and show you.
Okay. This is just stunning, absolutely beautiful, takes your breath away. So Respect has been published by Magabala Books, which is a publisher who's located in Broome in Western Australia, and has been written by Sue, Aunty Fay Muir, and illustrated beautifully by Lisa Kennedy. Now, I'd just like to read something, and I know, Sue, you don't know that I was going to do this, so
I
it's not
don't.
scary. But only yesterday I learned that the book, as in Respect, was featured in a Scholastic Teachers Club magazine. Yes, magazine, I think. And I'll just read you a little bit of what the reviewer said, which is exactly the sort of thing that you want to hear with the publishing of a book. So beautiful illustrations invite readers to make meaning beyond the written text, while the limited yet evocative language reflects the beliefs and culture of Indigenous Australians. Now, this is the first in a series of books. So would you like to just tell us a little bit about that, and also double question on how Our Place is a series and it introduces the First Nation culture. How did you decide on those topics?
I'll go back a step to the Scholastic Review, because I think this just shows how my generation is learning and growing, and how my friends and I are all kind of doing it at once. Because my girlfriend, my oldest friend, you've met Frog, one of my oldest and dearest friends,
Frog.
Frog, Trish, I'll call her Trish. It's terrible. I was in her classroom and said, "Hey, Frog," and she just went, "Oh," when the kids all But anyway.
And how students?
Oh, they loved it. They all call her Frog.
Oh, did they?
Stage,
She probably gets called Frog all the time.
grade 6, I think they were. So
Okay,
yeah. But
she'd be
anyway.
known as Frog now.
But she sent me the clipping of the Scholastic. I had no idea, and Muggabulla didn't know it was in there either.
Right.
And I just thought, how amazing is that the two of us went right through school together.
Beautiful.
We didn't learn the same things, and now she's teaching and using beautiful resources with the kids she teaches. And I just love that, and with the second book, Family, I was drafting
July, is that right? July.
I was drafting that with my very darling friend Doobs, who has another name, Julianne. And so it's dedicated to her. So to have the books with that link with these two friends who are my age is, just beautiful. But with Respect, it is Our Place is the name of the series. There's 4, let's talk about in 5. We are starting to play with a new topic, and there could be more because there's so many areas that look at what I call, and Aunty Fay said, yeah, that's a good description. It's the umbrella of what respect means to First Nation people culture. So it's not specific to any group, like Aunty Fay's a Boon Wurrung Elder, and Boon Wurrung is part of the Kulin Nation in Melbourne, around Melbourne and Victoria. So it's not specific to Boon Wurrung. It's not specific to Sydney, because a lot of our language comes from the Aroa people and the Darug people. This is the most, in fact, I'd say all Aboriginal clans have this understanding of respect. And then the next one is looking at family and what family means to First Nation people. And then we've got 2 more after that as well that are being illustrated at the moment. So they're to introduce to children this, I guess the foundations is the word for it, the foundations of First Nation culture.
And for adults as well, not just for children, for us to learn from that. I mean, how many words are there in them? There aren't many, are there?
But I meant to count, there's probably, I don't think there'd be 200. Really?
No, I don't think
so
either.
Short. It's,
yes.
Yeah, and, I write like I talk. There was a lot of chopping.
But it is back to that thing of the few words to tell the story, and once again the illustrations in here just complement. Do you want to show us a couple of the double spreads?
I actually have an original, but it's being framed at the minute, so I can't show you. It's the work was Lisa Kennedy, who's done Willem and Welcome to Country, and
That's
she's
right.
doing more books at the minute, and she's such a talented woman. I love her to bits.
Mm,
Really gorgeous lady as well, woman.
yes.
Um,
Yes.
she did the background and then kind of collaged the characters onto it. So I've got this
Okay.
background um,
Okay.
that is
Beautiful.
just superb, but it hasn't got the swans or the little girl. But the look at this, the fish through here, and
Yeah.
there's another one that's got what do you call them? Seahorses through the bottom. This one.
Ah,
Look at this.
okay.
You
It's
can
that.
see.
It's a detail, yeah, that you don't see initially until you look. Beautiful.
And one of
Just
the
beautiful.
other things, and it's interesting, some reviewers have picked it up, others won't, and I bet you $10 kids get it, is the recurring motive of he's on the front, the little scarlet-breasted robin.
Oh yes, yes,
And
yes.
here, it's in this section here, it's the past generation passing on
Okay.
knowledge to the new generation. And
Ah,
it's just, it's the symbolism. There is so much in it. And I'm just hoping that it will spark conversations and spark learning and just send people off on their own journey, because it is, I'm passionate about it. It's a fascinating journey, and it's such a rich
mm,
culture.
and just giving people that snippet to go further and find out more for themselves, and that's not just children, and it's not just teachers. It can be anybody, parents sharing that book or those books with their own children and explaining the Indigenous culture and the importance. And, I think what you don't know about, and if you don't have an understanding of it, it becomes something that you push away. Whereas this now, just that droplet of information, I'll go further, I'll find out more about this. And so congratulations. So it's a
Thank
beautiful,
you.
beautiful book. Beautiful.
I heard Deborah Cheatham, who's a soprano. She's a Yorta woman, which is up sort of Shepparton on the
Hmm.
Murray River way. And I heard her talk, and it was very early in the piece. In fact, I was writing Freedom Ride at the time and feeling very much, because Freedom Ride's told from a white character's point of view, because I can't
Yes.
write the other point of view.
No.
And she was talking, and I was feeling very ashamed of not knowing that this had happened, and how could I have got a master's degree, blah, 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 and not
Yep.
known.
Not known this.
And
Yes.
she said to the audience, don't be ashamed of what you don't know. Be ashamed of not finding out. And I went, okay, I can do this. It was just such a
Mm.
powerful, it was amazing. It just changed everything for me. And it gave me
Mm.
courage to just say, excuse me, if you ask respectfully, excuse me, what's this mean? Or, people want to share.
And it's that understanding, and that, and the cover itself. I mean, covers are so important, but it invites you to pick it up, to find out more. And that's just so important. And there's a little bird. That was a bit quick, Sue. Bring it back again and give us
Oh,
another
righty,
little.
I'll show you. I actually find it very hard, and I've said this to Faye, because Aunty Fay and I aren't seeing a lot of each other at the minute, actually, for obvious reasons, because we're at the
Yes.
tail end of COVID. But I look at it and go, wow, did we do that? Like, did we write
Yep.
those words? And
Yes.
yeah, I'm blown away by it. I just think Lisa's done the most incredible job. And a little sneak for people to look for. Lisa told me, and I can't believe I didn't realise, that one of the characters is actually Aunty Fay. If I can find.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
Actually, I think you had mentioned that to me, but now go and show us. We need to see that
where's
too.
Aunty Fay? So Aunty Fay
Yeah.
wears a
Okay.
lot of puffy jackets, and she's
Yes.
a snappy dresser. She wears great things. And yeah, Lisa said to me,
She's
"Did you
in there.
pick it?" And I didn't realise. I was
No, that's a lovely little thing, a lovely little talking point and all of that. And hopefully, with things moving ahead, Sue, in portable magic is one way that you'll be able to get that out there. But also hopefully we'll all be able to get back to visiting schools, because it is so important. It's that basic thing that I think a lot of children have this thing in their head that, you know, an author is a bit of a person who locks themselves away and doesn't venture out very often. And I think, yeah, we all have different styles. We all have different things to share and present at schools. So hopefully that will all pick up again, and we'll get on to doing that. So
I'm hoping so.
yes. So look, all go out there, please, and buy Respect, and watch out for the other books. Was there anything, Sue, that you wanted to cover that I have left out, seeing as I'm at the other end here?
I think, Corinne, because I'm a nervous wreck, because the last person you interviewed was Magda Zabansky, and I'm funny, but I'm not that funny.
I did mention that the other day, didn't I?
Yes, you did. No, I think you've done a brilliant job, and yeah, I'm very proud, particularly of Respect, and
Yeah.
Muckabulla's and Aunty Fay particularly is trusting me, and I'm really excited about Portable Magic. And the quote I meant to say comes from Stephen
Yes, so you
King.
need to do that.
Yeah, Stephen King. Like my husband loves his writing, but I don't like the horror stuff. So I'd kind of gone, oh yeah, and then
So I've actually happened to have that here.
well.
You got yours too.
I had to dive away because I dropped it. I've got mine too. I bought this book and it was on special, and I got it for, like, honest to God, $2 in Target.
Okay, yes.
And I started reading it, and I came out and said to my husband, a quote from Despicable Me that our family uses a lot: "You were right. I was less right." He is
How does that go?
amazing, amazing writer. And I refer back to who you can see. I've got the bookmark actually in the part about writing. And in this, he says, books are a kind of portable magic. And so when I was trying to think, what am I going to call this? I went, oh, Stephen King. So the irony that I have named this after Stephen King has not been lost on my husband.
No, that's lovely. And I think it's a great idea, and I think it's something that, you know, bringing together all your experience, all your talents, and that's what we want to do. Because then that makes it a really enjoyable experience for you and for everybody who's been interviewed as well. So look, that's new beginnings, something exciting. So good luck with that, and with all those beautiful future books coming up.
Thank you so much.